Welcome to the MFS Wellness Podcast, a hybrid structure encompassing health, fitness, self-improvement, and entertainment, where no topic is off limits and all opinions are graciously welcomed.
Let's get on with the show!
And now, here's the host of the show, Mike Sinopoli.
Welcome to the MFS Wellness Podcast. I am Mike Sinopoli, certified nutrition coach, consultant, counselor, whichever you like. You can find me over on Instagram at MFS Wellness, Facebook and Twitter by the same handle. Email is mike@mfswellness.com. Shoot over anything you want at any time. I'll be responsive to that. This episode is the third one, and we're going to go over meal plans, when to use them, who are they for, what's good about them, what is not, and how to be effective with a meal plan if you choose to take one on. That's something that I do for clients regularly, is provide them with a meal plan based on their goal and a lot of other variables, essentially. So to kind of put together a proper meal plan, here's kind of what it needs to happen. So the first thing and the most important, a meal plan has to include foods that the client actually likes. Because if you don't like the food on your meal plan, you're not going to keep going, because doing things that suck are not sustainable. It really becomes miserable if that's the case. And it's very easy just to throw away a meal plan. Some more intricate things for a meal plan to work well, it's going to want to include the calorie goal for the client, whether they're in a deficit for fat loss, a surplus for muscle building, maybe just starting out at maintenance, potentially just figuring out where they're at this point, any of that. A lot of times when I have a client that's starting off in a calorie deficit for fat loss, I'm going to go ahead and start them in the middle of their deficit, leave a little bit of a buffer for any error to kind of get started. Because if you put somebody on a meal plan and they don't see success right away, they're probably going to want to quit. And I try to avoid that just to get that motivation going a little bit, to put them in the right spot. It also is going to want to have adequate protein. That's very important, and that's a target that you always want to hit. So every meal plan should have a specific protein target per the individual. And like we said before on the show, that is about 0.8 to 1 gram per their lean mass body weight. It should also address any dietary needs or food intolerances. A meal plan, if you have a problem with dairy, maybe it doesn't sit right in your stomach, you're not going to want to take a meal plan with any dairy in it, and no coach or a trainer should give you something with that. That should be, at the client's discretion. So that's another realistic aspect of a meal plan that needs to be factored in, as well as food prep needs to be realistic. You have to take into account the client's schedule, their lifestyle. Do they have kids? How do they work? Where do they work? What do they do every day? You can't expect a client to just bust out a George Foreman grill in the middle of their office and start grilling ostrich burgers because it's on a meal plan. So that's not going to work. So we're going to have to be realistic and cater to their lifestyle as is. You want to build a meal plan around your lifestyle. So the next thing it should also have on there is food measurements, but not cups, not tablespoons. You want to measure in grams and ounces. There's a lot that goes into that. If you take rice, for instance, and you measure that out into a half a cup, it'll say a half cup on the nutrition label is a serving. But when you actually measure it, because next to that half cup, it's going to say 40 grams or so dry, when you fill up that cup, that half cup, I should say, with rice, it doesn't hit the lip of the cup. So you're going to have to weigh those in, because little instances like that added up will put you into a calorie surplus and you won't even know it. It's tricky that way. So why do people want a meal plan? It seems as if that's always the go-to. They want the meal plan. The reason they want that is because it's easy. It's easy until it's not easy to follow. It doesn't require much effort on their end, because they're just given something that is just read it, do it, and go. And that's the easiest way to go about it. Not always the best, because they don't really learn how to create their own, or how to track any food if they need to, and what really goes into it, or why they're doing it, and it could lead to failure in the long run. So some things to avoid when you're seeking out a meal plan. Just to go up to a coach or trainer and just say, hey, can you just write me a meal plan? I don't know what to eat. Just write something, please. That's gonna lead to problems, because this coach and trainer, if you're asking them to just make things up, they're just gonna give you what they eat. And if what they eat isn't what you like, you're not gonna sustain this thing. It's not gonna happen. So you want to make sure that you have your input in there. If you on Google, maybe you don't even want to go to a coach or a trainer, you just Google free meal plans, or you go purchase a meal plan from somewhere. That again is going to cause an issue, because you're just blanket purchasing meal plans and generic out of there, and you don't even know if it's catered to what your goals are. Is it for fat loss? Is it for a female, male? Is it for someone who wants to build muscle, someone who looks to lose fat? Doesn't take in any dietary needs, most likely. So unless you're real meticulous and detailed about it and putting some effort in on your end, that could also be a very short road to failure. Taking on a meal plan of someone's physique that you don't care to have, if that makes any sense. So if you see a physique competitor at your gym or wherever, and you go to them and say, what's your meal plan like? I want to do your meal plan. Or maybe they tell you their meal plan on Instagram or something like that, and you go ahead and mock that, but you don't have any desire to look like them or have their physique and do what they're doing. What are you're going too extreme. You're going to be too extreme, and you're going to burn out from that, because it's going to be pretty miserable, probably very bland, and not foods you're going to enjoy on the regular. So that's another aspect to avoid when seeking out those meal plans. If you're just going to accept it, even though it looks unappealing, that's what the motivated mind will do. Yeah, I'll do it. I can do this, because you're motivated in there. But then, you start that plan on Monday, it goes fine. Tuesday's okay. Wednesday is kind of blah. And then by Thursday, you're like, I don't want this anymore. So that's about how it will go when you take on an unappealing meal plan. Some more pros and cons of the meal plans. Starting with the cons, they can get very boring, mundane, especially if it's something that's a weekly meal plan, which I do for my clients is a weekly meal plan, which means you're eating basically the same thing every day for a week, and then we change it up. However, I encourage clients to go ahead and track their food if they'd like to, and eat whatever they want. Also, it's kind of important to maybe only follow that meal plan 80% of the way, and try your best at kind of freely eating otherwise. Some other cons is that a meal plan can really feel like a diet, especially if it's not accustomed to the client and to their likes and needs. It can really feel just like another diet. And if you're sitting there on the meal plan and just can't wait till this is over, it ain't working for you. That's diet mentality right there. It can cause people to be very rigid if they have a perfectionist mind and mentality that they want to be on the dot. Everything needs to be measured perfectly by the gram, and if they don't do that, they get all flustered and they give up, and they just mentally tell themselves they failed when they haven't. You're not even close. So that's some of the cons of a meal plan. Some pros, I think, if it's personalized and set with the right calories and macros, and the foods are appealing, that's going to work well for a client. The client will learn portion sizes and weights of foods, and it'll be eye-opening for them in some cases. Maybe you see what cereal actually looks like when you have one serving, when you measure it on a scale. You're going to want a digital food scale measuring in ounces and grams for sure. When you look at cereal, it'll be pretty disappointing. Same thing with olive oil, peanut butter. When you see what a serving looks like of those, you're going to be like, oh boy, it's depressing. It is depressing, I'm not going to lie. But it's necessary, and it is the truth. It puts a day of eating into perspective. That can help with a meal plan. Basically, what you can do is kind of see what your body needs for your goal in a day. And if you do mock that enough, maybe for a few weeks, you can maybe transition right off and start eating that way, and see your goals get hit. You see those things changing in the mirror. You start feeling your clothes fit a little bit more, and then you just kind of mimic what you've been doing and roll from there. That's one of the best ways to go about it. Let's see here. It can also serve as your grocery list. If you get a meal plan from a coach like I provide it through MyFitnessPal. I will export it out to a PDF file and send it out to my clients, and they can just take that right with them, or take their phone with their app or whatever they want to do, and just go ahead and use that at the grocery store, and it provides a nice list of items they need for their week. And that can also save time and money, as far as prep goes. If they buy in bulk, save some money. You only need to prep certain amounts of food. You don't have to make all different types of food. You can just kind of make some ground beef, chicken, pasta, whatever else you want to pre-cook before the week begins. That will save time and money as well. And now, to be successful with a meal plan, like how can you be successful with a meal plan? Like we've talked about before, the number one thing is you have to incorporate foods that you already enjoy and you consume. Sometimes it's best to just take what a client already is eating and just adjust the amounts, just the quantity and the portion sizes. Maybe they just need their protein upped. Maybe they're only eating 50 to 60 grams of protein. They just need to double up their protein. And, maybe they just need to tweak down the carbs and fat and just kind of balance it out a little bit more, So that's definitely a possibility that can help with a meal plan, is to kind of get that adjustment down. And then if that clicks for them and they understand that, they can roll right from there and go without a meal plan moving forward. Like I said before, using it 70 to 80% of the time, or just Monday through Friday, use the meal plan. Depending on your discipline on the weekends and your lifestyle on the weekends, that might work for you. If every weekend you have to drink a case of Budweiser, order a pizza and, donuts and such, I don't know, maybe you're going to end up leveling out there and maintaining or even gaining. It depends how hard you ride on your weekends. That can thwart a whole week worth for sure. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Keep a temporary mindset when you're using a meal plan. Understand that you're probably not going to use a meal plan for your whole life. So, some people might. Maybe they find it convenient. I know some clients and even myself, sometimes, hey, just let me just do this. I know what I like. I know these different meals. I know what I have been having. I know these proteins. I'm just going to go ahead and do this because, I enjoy the food. I know I'm getting my results. Hey, it's fine by me. Make sure it's sustainable. It should transition to what they call intuitive eating. I don't really care for that phrase, but intuitive eating is just knowing kind of what your body needs and what you're eating, and not have to track or go off of a plan or weigh or measure. So if you can get to that point, great. That's another way to show success from a meal plan. Not sticking on it, but to come off of it and mock what you've done already. So what I do for clients, I'll run their calorie requirements first with their BMR, the basal metabolic rate, also the TDEE, which is the total daily energy expenditure, and I'll run their deficit through that, or potentially their surplus, depending what they're doing. Providing the macronutrient profile for their goal is very important. That's adequate protein, and then I'll split fat and carbs up with the rest. So usually it's about 25 to 30% protein on the plan, and then the rest is split between the fat and the carbs. And that can kind of go either way. Some clients, they enjoy their fats more than their carbs, and other way around. It depends. If someone likes cheese, avocados, oils, and things like that, I'll put a little higher fat on their plan. Just want to keep the saturated fat in check for sure. I consult with clients weekly to see what they would like for their next meal plan. I don't want to write a meal plan for what I think you should eat. I want you to tell me what you like to eat, and what I'll do is formulate that to your goals, to your macro count, your calorie count. So then you know exactly that, hey, we're in your calorie deficit here. These are the foods you picked. This is how much to eat. Eat whenever you want. Keep it flexible. If you want to switch it out, track your own food. Keep everything very stress-free. Flexibility is everything. So yeah, then I'll load that up into MyFitnessPal and export it out over to them by email in a PDF. I'll also help out with providing cooking instructions, prep instructions that I think is best. The client's free to follow those or not. That's just something I do extra to help avoid any confusion and maybe get them a little more effective in getting their things together. Because prepping protein, especially having that food ready to go, is vital. If it's not ready to go, you're going to not be very successful at times because, if you're busy and you're running around, if you've got that Tupperware meat ready to go, you can just grab it and you're ready. You don't have to worry about starting ovens and stoves and things and cooking. So then, you want to determine, is a meal plan actually for you? Are you okay with prepping some food in advance if needed, like we talked about? I can do a meal plan with minimal prep. Sometimes the proteins aren't as ideal that way. But, it does work. And it's sometimes, as long as we're doing better than where the client was before, then we're good to go. And that'll work for them. Are you okay with eating the same food multiple days in a row, provided you do enjoy them? It's not that hard to do. If you find yourself at work now grabbing the same donut or Danish out of the break room, what's the difference? You're just going to just switch it out with something that's going to be more health conscious for you and work towards your goal. If you can eliminate the perfectionist mindset, that's another big one, because you have to give yourself leeway to get on the dot with everything, with the measurements and such. It can drive you crazy if you have that perfectionist mindset, that type A, I believe is what they call it, personality, So sometimes you got to talk down a client a little bit who said, I didn't do measure perfectly here today. I screwed up. I failed. No, you didn't fail. You didn't fail at all. Yeah, it's totally fine. There's wiggle room. You don't have to be as rigid. The more rigid you are, the more likely you're going to stop doing what you're doing, because being rigid and perfectionist is not going to last. So does it offer a sustainable lifestyle to transition? Can you see yourself eating how the meal plan looks after you've gone through a few of them and you've kind of got a few meals under your belt and you've figured it out and through the weeks? Can you see yourself transitioning and eating this way for the rest of your life? And I know that's a extreme way to talk about the rest of your life, but you really do want to pick up a diet that you can do the rest of your life, because what good is going on a diet that you come off of and don't learn anything? You just end up yo-yoing. And we've talked about that before, how that messes up your BMI and your body fat percentage goes up. So that is sort of, in short, how meal plans sort of work, especially if you were to take me on as your coach or counselor and you wanted the meal plan option. That's kind of how it goes. Clients pick their food, anything they want to eat. I'm here to adjust it, change it up, give different ideas, what'll work better. And, back and forth a little bit. We'll make an edit if we have to. After a week or two, we start to understand each other a little bit more. I know what you like. I know what works. You start to figure out what works. And eventually, hey, this meal, I liked this meal. This meal I hated. Okay, we'll take it out. I don't want these anymore, or I'm sick of this. All of that is fair game. Come bring that to me so I know. The more you talk, the more you tell me, the better your meal plan is going to be. So that being said, like I said in the beginning of the episode, if you are interested in ever coming to me for a meal plan or any other type of nutrition coaching, you can hit me up on Instagram at MFS Wellness. Facebook, Twitter is the same handle. Mike at mfswellness.com is my email address. And feel free at any time to do so, and we can go from here. And I'm happy to answer any questions. And that'll do it for today. And thank you so much for listening. I will be back shortly with another episode. Take care.